Okay, here we go. We're going to look at this lesson right here, which is lesson number 8, solving radical equations graphically. So the important fact, the zeros of a function, the x-intercepts of the graph of the function, and the roots of the corresponding equation are the same numbers. So the zeros, and I'm in the wrong window. So the zeros of a function, the x-intercepts of the graph, and the roots of the corresponding equation, y equals 0, are the same numbers. So we're going to look at this class example number 1, solve the following radical equations graphically. We've got the square root of x plus 1 equals 4. Okay, first we'll do our restrictions. So we know that x plus 1 has to be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, and then if I subtract 1 from each, I find that x must be greater than or equal to negative 1. Okay, now we're going to go into our calculator and we're going to graph this thing. So we're going to hit y equals. Okay, I'm just going to clear this. So we've got second function, the square root of x plus 1. And I'm just going to put that in brackets just to be safe. X plus 1. Okay, now that's all I'm going to put in. And then for my y2, I'm going to put y equals 4. And that's going to create a horizontal line along 4. So if we graph that, okay, and we can't see anything. So I'm going to hit window. Actually, first let's hit zoom, and I'm just going to hit Z standard. So 6 is Z standard. Okay, now I still can't see the intersection. So we need to figure out where this intersection is. One way you can do that is by looking at the table. So I'm going to hit second function graph, which is the table function. Okay, and you can see that my y2 is 4. We got to get this y closer to 4. So it looks like when x is 9, it's getting pretty close to 4. Okay, so when x is 9, it's getting pretty close to 4. Okay, maybe even x is 11. So let's make x 11 to 20. Window. My x min is going to be 11. My x max is going to be 20. Okay, and my scale is going to be 1. My y min, I don't need it at negative 10, so why don't I make it at 0? And my y max, I could make it at, it's got to be minimum 4 for us to see that line. Let's just leave it at 10, okay, and see what we can see. Okay, let's go back to the graph. Okay, now I can kind of see the intersect where it looks a little bit funny, but I can still see the intersect. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate. So that's second function trace. Calculate the intersect, which is 5. Okay, first curve. He wants to know a point on the first curve. By the way, if you have the Casio, you can just hit enter and it calculates it for you. Second curve, sure, somewhere in there. And a guess. Intersection is at x equals 15. Okay, so let's go back to our page there. Window settings. Okay, so let's just put in that x equals 15 first. So we did have something like this. We had, oops, let me redo that. So we had something like this, a graph like that. Okay, and then we also had a graph here at y equals 4, a straight line graph like that. And we found that they met at x equals 15. Okay, the window settings that I used, can't remember what they were now. Anyways, it doesn't really matter, but those are the windows 11 and 20 and 1, 0 and 10 and 1. Okay, window settings were 11 for the min, 20 for the max, goes up by 1. And then for y, I had 0, 10, and 1. Okay. So that's the first one there. And we could just check if it works. Of course, if we let x equal 15, we could just take a look here. Oops. If x equals 15, my mouse just is going haywire. Then we're going to have 15 plus 1. Oh, 15 plus 1 is equal to the square root of 16, which is equal to 4. Okay, so the check works out good. Okay, so that's the first one there. Let's look at this one. Y equals, sorry, this should be a 5. 5 equals 4x plus 1. Okay, so let's do our restrictions first. Of course, always our restrictions, this whatever's underneath the radical has to be positive or 0. So 4x plus 1 has to be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, that means that 4x has to be greater than or equal to negative 1, meaning x has to be greater than, oh dear, or equal to negative 1. Wait, that's not really like that quarter. X has to be greater than or equal to negative 1/4. Okay, so let's graph 5, and let's graph the square root of 4x plus 1 on our calculator. So we're going to delete that. Oh, let's just clear that. Okay, square root of 4x plus 1. Okay, I didn't put it in brackets this time. We'll see how it works. Okay, there's 1, and then this one is going to be what? Y is equal to 5. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we can't see the intersect, so let's look at the table. Okay, so okay. Actually, this is going to be the answer right here. But let's just go through the table here. We need our x to be, let's make it 0 to 7. And let's keep our y the same. Okay, so the window, my x min is going to be 0. My x max is going to be 7. And now let's check the graph. There, we can see the intersect there. Okay, now I'm going to calculate it. Calculate 5. Intersection, x equals 6. Okay. So what did we find out? If I go back to this, my window settings were a min 0 for x, 7, and 1. And my y was still 0, 10, and 1. Okay. And then we had this kind of graph here. Okay, and it turns out that they crossed at x equals 6. Okay, so the answer to this is x equals 6. Okay, you guys can try out some more on this page. So there's 6 for you to try. You have to state the restrictions. And I'll just tell you guys that if you're looking at this one, because it's a cubed root, there is no restrictions because you're allowed to have negative numbers. Okay, that's it.